HBO Beauty Award. Shout out to Beauty, but, I'm not doing that. Come on, man. You think Grant Cohn would take Beauty? Grant Cohn's a man of the people, right? Grant Cohn, quality control for the 49ers. Oh, I'm kidding. Publisher of all 49ers. Fan Nation, he's down in Glendale, Arizona. Hey, look, I text Grant like 16 minutes ago. I was like, yo, you want to come on the show, man? What's up? He's like, sure, why not? I got time. He's got time on his hands.
Me and Grant are always cooking up schemes behind the scenes.
Oh, I bet you guys are.
We only talk every so often, but when we do, I know it's the bat signal. It's Commissioner Gordon on the phone.
I already feel the knife in my back right now. It's 2 inches deep. After this interview, it'll be 5 inches deep.
It's got to be a 5-foot blade because of how big you are these days.
Grant, what's up, man?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm all right until you stabbed me in the back here with Joe Shasky. I heard about the backdoor stories here, the backdoor cuts.
We're pushing you out, man. We're pushing you out.
It's all good, man.
Hey, Grant, let's start here with the 49er quarterback thing. It's just kind of insane. We were talking about it, like, there's such an outlier. Forget like Purdy and Lance and all that crazy. Just the fact that they've been wildly successful with so much uncertainty at the quarterback spot.
Yeah, I mean, they've put together a great team, right? Like, since they don't spend $50 million a year on a quarterback, that allows them to have the highest paid middle linebacker, the highest paid running back, the highest paid tight end. They have a really good team, but the question is, can you win a Super Bowl without that guy at quarterback? And they think they can. What's crazy is when they traded for Trey, they made it seem like you need a special quarterback to win a Super Bowl in this league. Now they've changed their whole stance. It's like, nah, we just need a guy we can win with who's on a rookie deal who's cheap. And that's Brock. So we'll see if he can make it all the way. I still think you need a special quarterback. I think the Niners might be kidding themselves on this one.
All right, so let's start with John Lynch yesterday. Then we'll get to Kyle Shanahan today. Lynch yesterday said Brock Purdy's the leader in the clubhouse, but it's going to be an open competition between Darnold, Trey, and Sam Darnold. I mean, Darnold, Trey, and Brock Purdy, of course. But he did mention that Brock Purdy is a leader of the clubhouse. How do you think Trey Lance took that?
I think Trey Lance probably just wants to get the hell out of town.
Really?
I think he would welcome a trade. It's pretty clear that the team hasn't really been enthusiastic about developing him for a long time. They use him as a running back. You saw that little thing. He put up the fingers crossed emoji when Rand Carthon went to the Titans.
Right.
I'm sure he'd love to go to the Titans or Minnesota. So, it feels like he's just in limbo right now. Whenever Brock comes back, that could be week 1, week 4. I'm guessing Trey gets traded. That's probably the most likely outcome at this point.
Well, can we pause on this? To this point, what do you think has been the biggest problem on Trey? Like, what has Trey Lance not done, okay, physically? What has he not done? And what do you think is the biggest misstep that the Niners have done with Trey Lance?
Well, he didn't win right away. Like, that's what Brock did. That's what Jimmy did. And apparently that's how the Niners evaluate quarterbacks. Like, you have to have success right away. Otherwise, they don't want you. Like, forget that Peyton Manning struggled at first, and so did Troy Aikman. But that's it. They feel they're a win-now team, and they just want a young quarterback who needs no development. Which is like, so why did you draft Trey Lance in the first place?
Right.
You could have just stayed at 12, drafted Mac Jones, and had, the cheap young version of Jimmy G, which is what they want. So I don't really understand. I feel like they keep changing their mind on what they want at quarterback.
Well, why don't people consider the fact that Trey Lance did help you win a huge game against the Houston Texans that helped you stay in the playoff race in 2021. He plays an undefeated Arizona Cardinals team in his first start. He runs the ball like he's a quarterback in Army. He plays in a monsoon against Chicago. And, by the way, he's only played with George Kittle in one of those games. It feels like that's not a factor at all. Nobody even discusses that.
It's a great point. And let's look at it this way. So the Niners seem to be really down on Trey. He's like persona non grata. That being said, he's not going anywhere yet. He's still on the team. What if he plays really well this offseason? What if he starts week 1 and has Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle and does what Purdy did last year? That changes everything. So really, this is just Kyle and John making a projection. But, last year they thought Brock Purdy was going to be on the practice squad. They don't really know.
Yeah, well, let's stop. So I want to stop right there because I find this to be interesting. Brock Purdy last year at training camp, you and I mean, you were at everything. I tried to show up to as much as I possibly could. I mean, yeah, it was a nice little story, and I was seeing him run around, and I didn't know how sustainable it was. But, like, this revisionist history that he lit it up at camp, I didn't see that, Grant. I'm talking about Brock Purdy lighting it up at camp. Trey had some good days. He had some bad days. It was everything in between. But this fact that, like, Purdy lit it up, I didn't see that. Did you?
No, I didn't see that either. I didn't think he lit it up in preseason either. And I thought if the Niners had cut him and tried to put him on their practice squad, that he would have made it. No one would have picked up Brock Purdy based on what he put on film in preseason. So I think we were all surprised when he actually started moving around and ad-libbing in real games with like the season on the line. That was impressive. But at the same time, like he has some bad habits,
right?
Like spinning out of the back of the pocket. That's not sustainable. So he's also really little. So we'll see.
He's really little. Like that's my biggest thing is like I look at like Russell Wilson. Physically, the game has zapped him of all of his athleticism and he's thicker from the waist down than Brock Purdy. Like you can win for the next couple of years, conceivably, if Brock plays at that level. But like the game of football is so violent. You see these guys by year 8, 9, 10, they're a shell of themselves athletically.
Not only that, the last 4 games. How did we not see him struggle really in those first halves?
Yeah.
And the Niners had to pull those games out in the second half. Nobody, and if that was Jimmy, we would have been all over Jimmy Garoppolo for those first halves. Brock would give him a pass because he was the last pick of the draft. And oh, by the way, Grant, I think people are snitching on themselves by saying, oh, Brock Purdy lit it up. Yet why did the Niners call Ben Roethlisberger, and why did Phillip Rivers get a phone call?
Yeah, that's a good question, right? Maybe it's because Kyle Shanahan thinks it takes such a long time to teach his offense to someone. I think they wanted Brock to be the starter. I think they probably were interested in Ben Roethlisberger as a backup. But can you really see Ben Roethlisberger coming out of retirement to back up Brock Purdy?
Absolutely
not. That's not going to happen.
No.
So I mean, it's a joke.
So today, and we're talking to Grant Cohn here. Of course, Grant Cohn covers the Niners as well as anybody out there in this market here. He's down there in Phoenix, Arizona at the owners' meetings where everybody's talking. Today, Shanahan spoke, and he said maybe Purdy will be ready through weeks 1 and 4. However, at OTAs, Sam Darnold and Trey Lance will split reps for the starting as the starters. They're going to split reps with the first team. And I thought as soon as Darnold signed with the Niners, I told Shaskin, I told our listeners, brace yourself. Darnold will have a chance to start. I mean, come on. How can you not? Darnold's going to get every chance to start at quarterback, right, Grant?
Oh, absolutely. They're going to be splitting reps. And if Sam Darnold has a better offseason, he's going to start week 1. They have no more attachment to Trey Lance.
Wow.
None.
How?
So maybe this is a good thing for Trey. I mean, finally he's been written off, and he needs to fight for his career. Maybe this is the moment where he rises to the occasion.
Yeah.
Kind of everything's been handed to him so far since the pandemic.
Yeah. You've been around this team for a long time, and I'm sure you've got different contacts at various points in the organization. I've been asking this out loud. It feels like a lot of people are supporting Brock Purdy, and rightfully so. Like he's done a lot of really, really good things. Who's the person inside that building who's campaigning for Trey Lance?
I don't think that person exists anymore.
Wow.
I don't think that person exists anymore. Maybe the guy left. Maybe it used to be Kyle Shanahan. It doesn't seem like it's John Lynch. But it seems like when Brock Purdy emerged, whatever they wanted Trey Lance to become, Brock Purdy gives them like 80 to 85% of that, so they just gave up on Trey. Now, again, maybe Trey steps up this year and Brock Purdy's never the same. Like they're just projecting the future, and they're terrible at that. They have a terrible track record at that. But right now, they really think that Brock's the guy. But I'm going to put it this way: that doesn't mean that they're going to give Brock Purdy, a $400 million extension in a few years. They said they want a cheap quarterback they can win with on a rookie deal. That's Brock for now. It could be someone else in 2 years or 1 year.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, Grant Cohn. Brandon Aiyuk. Another story developing. Brendan Aiyuk has been tweeting left and right. He went over 1,000 yards, and he tweeted out, hey, 1K as a 4th option, and he's got an extension coming up after next season. I think he's the best pure wide receiver. I said this last training camp. I think he runs better routes than Deebo Samuel. I think he can do a lot more things as a wide receiver than Deebo Samuel. Deebo's kind of a specialist here. What's happening with Brendan Aiyuk? What's the buzz down there in Arizona about BA?
It seems kind of like the same situation that McGlinchey just went through. Like, I'm not saying he's McGlinchey, but they have Trent Williams. And the Niners decided they're not going to be spending on 2 high-priced offensive tackles, so McGlinchey had to go. The Niners already paid Deebo, and I wonder if they're going to have 2 high-priced wide receivers on the roster. Does any team in the NFL have it? I mean, Brandon Aiyuk's probably going to be getting $20+ million a year. I don't know that they're willing to spend on both. They already chose to spend Deebo, and that just might put Brandon Aiyuk in the Mike McGlinchey territory. He may understand it, and that might be why he's tweeting the way he is.
Yeah, the only team that might potentially have 2 high-priced wide receivers is the Bengals because they have Jamar Chase's contract coming up, and then my guy from Clemson, who I was T. Higgins. But we will see because they got to pay Burrow. So I don't even know what they're going to do.
Aiyuk isn't as good as those 2 guys.
I agree.
Being frank, he's very good though.
Totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Totally agree with that. Last thing here, because you're giving us all kinds of good stuff. Lynch, Shanahan. It's a very interesting relationship. I mean, I keep looking at them. Are they in lockstep when it comes to these quarterbacks? Because it doesn't feel like it to me. I don't know. I get mixed signals from the 2 of them when I try to break it down, and then sometimes they're aligned and sometimes they're not. Like this whole thing is just wild.
It seems like they're in lockstep with Brock and Sam Darnold, but it always seemed like they disagreed on Trey Lance. I mean, the only nice things John Lynch would ever say about Trey Lance is that he's a good kid. He's got that CEO mentality, but he never praised the way he actually played the quarterback position. Kyle tried, and then he stopped once he got Brock Purdy. So I think they probably had some philosophical differences at that spot. I mean, and that's defined their tenure here. Like, they still haven't decided on who the quarterback should be long term, and that's probably why they won a Super Bowl.
That is absolutely wild. It's just crazy to me. It's insane. So we were discussing this yesterday. If you're Brandon Aiyuk, Deebo Samuel, or you're a wide receiver on the 49ers, who do you go work out with in the offseason? Do you work out with Trey? Do you work out with Sam Darnold? Do you bring both quarterbacks there? If you're a wide receiver, don't you want to know who the quarterback's going to be?
You do, but at the same time, doesn't this team kind of act like they like having questions with the quarterback?
Yeah.
I think they're like, we don't need a quarterback, and it's all about us. Which is wild because they're the only team in the league that acts that way.
I got a couple quick ones. Rat-a-tat-tatties, you used to play baseball in high school. Is it play catch or have a catch?
Have a catch.
Have a catch.
Come on,
wow.
That's the East Coast thing, though. My dad's from Brooklyn.
That's
exactly.
why.
Okay.
Yeah,
Who's your
Lowell
favorite
he's
player
wrong.
of all time?
What's that?
Baseball. Favorite player of all time?
My favorite player of all time. Damn. I like Ricky. Are you kidding? I'm from Oakland. Ricky.
There you go. I'm with you. Ricky was freaking awesome. Yeah. Have you ever caught a foul ball?
Never. I'd love to.
Have you ever come close?
Never even close, man. That would be quite a thrill in my life. How about you?
I did. Many of them. In fact,
I dropped the foul ball. Hanley Ramirez hit one to the upper deck, foul territory, and I closed my eyes at the last minute. I saw the seams on the baseball.
How much did that hurt?
I backed up at the last minute.
Have you seen this guy's meat paws? That didn't hurt him at all.
No,
I got a great
quick
story. I went to a game with Brian Cotter. We were 12 years old, going to Candlestick. Barry Bonds is on the on-deck circle, swinging a sledgehammer. First pitch in between innings, the guy overthrows the catcher. Ball scoots back around. Barry Bonds points at me, not Brian. God rest his soul. Points at me, picks up the ball, rifles it. Brian sticks his huge glove in front of me, steals the Barry Bonds ball from me, and then Robbie Thompson had watched that from the dugout and goes, "Hey, kid, come over here." And then he throws me a ball. One of my favorite stories of all time.
Great story. Love it.
By the way, Grant, you miscovered the Warriors or the Giants? You want to cover some Giants baseball this year?
I want to cover the Warriors so bad right now. I really want to cover I don't think anyone cares about baseball anymore. I mean, you guys do. But boy, this would be a nice time to cover that dynasty in San Francisco.
What would you say about the Warriors right now?
What would I say about the Warriors right now?
Well, we see this tweet. I think I know.
This season has been I mean, they don't have a full team. Like, if you can give them a center, like, it's scandalous what they're doing to this title. I mean, this is a legitimate championship core. And the Niners actually, like Jed York looks like a better owner right now than Joe Lacob, which is
stop, Grant. I'm not going to let you get away with that. And now I know you and your listeners are going to say I'm in Joe Lacob's pockets. But let's not do that. We'll get to a studio. We'll argue about it then.
Fair enough.
Right. Hey, we're going to go to a game. Giants A's, the three of us, all right? We'll bring our ladies out there. We'll have a great time.
I'm in. Let's do it.
Sounds good.
Grant Cohn covers the Niners down there in Phoenix, Arizona.